Hello there. Welcome to Zephyr's BI and Analytics, where we learn by building BI projects. So today on this channel, I'm going to be quickly walking you through how I created this SLA Compliance Report, my full solution, right? Before now, we had a YouTube live section where I actually walked you through creating this report using the dark mode, the dark theme. This is actually my complete solution, my complete report, and I just felt why not just have a complete video where I created the entire report. So this is actually the first page of the report showing just the SLA compliance across the different ticket type, the trend across the countries, the daily SLA compliance. Then on the second page, we actually have the agent performance, right? We have the agent performance on the second page where you have the different agents across the different departments. This is actually the CX department. We can go to the HR department. Then, of course, we still have the IT support department. We have the IT support. We have the sales department, agent performance across those different departments. So I'm just going to be walking you through how you can create this report on your own end. Also, there's a link to a OneDrive attached to the video description where you'll be able to download the data set. The background image you need to create a report. I actually created the background image in PowerPoint, so you'll find the PowerPoint file there also. You can download the data. Now, if you've seen the previous video, it's actually on the channel. You probably may not really do much, right? Because you've done, should I say, a lot of what we need to do already. So I'll just jump right into it and let's just create this amazing report. So next, open up your Power BI, download the data set, open up your Power BI so you can just create this report on your own end. Let's begin. So once in Power BI, I'll quickly need to bring in the data, right? By now, you should have the data set downloaded. So somewhere in your downloads folder or in your desktop. It's an Excel file, so I'll just come to import data from Excel. For me, I have it somewhere in my desktop. I have it somewhere in my files and Excel file also. So my files, I'll just navigate to where I have the data set. So, okay, it's actually the IT support data set, right? So I'll select and click on open. Okay, let's give it a little time. So you actually find three tables. We have the country table, the data, and the dictionary. So you can actually check all of this table, right? You can check all of this table. The data dictionary will be helpful for you to understand the data. Then you have the country and also the data itself. So I'll just check all the tables and I'll click on transform data. Eventually, when I'm done, I think I won't be needing the data dictionary. So I'll just let go of it. So I'll just give you time to take us to Power Query, where we'll probably perform any data transformation or modeling if the case requires. Okay. So now we are obviously in Power Query. Don't worry about this. That's because I've done the analysis before now. So I'll just click on refresh. So we have the data set itself, right? This is the data set. If you go through the data set, you find out that you have um, about 24 columns, right? The ticket, ID, the date, resolution date, subject, body, type, and all. Lots of information about the ticket, right? Um, there are situations where you probably want to perform some data modeling, but in my own case, I didn't actually bother doing any form of data modeling, right? Because you actually have the latitude and longitude and country on this dimension, right? On this fact table, not dimension table, on this fact table. So you may probably want to take it to the country table we have here, right? Probably want to take it to the country table you have here, but I didn't do all that. So for the country table, one thing I'll just do is come to transform. I'll just say use first row as headers. So that's basically it. So what I'm basically saying, you can actually bring in the latitude and longitude here, and of course, we're going to connect this country to the other table. So in that case, we won't be needing the latitude and longitude on this data part anymore. So one thing I'll do, I'll quickly just name this to fact IT support. I'll check with what I have on the previous table. That's okay, fact IT support, that's fine. So I'll just name that to fact IT support. Then this is actually country, is country. Then the dictionary, like I said, would help you understand the data and everything going on in the data. So we don't really have any much, I don't think we have any data cleaning to do for the data. So um, from here, I'll just come to home, then close and apply to load the data to Power BI. So once we've successfully have our data in Power BI, the next thing we'll quickly do is create a calendar table that would enable us perform anytime intelligence analysis like the SLA compliance trend that we had on the other side, then also create the calendar visual that you also saw in the report. So let's just give it a little time. For the dictionary, I'm going to delete it eventually because I won't be needing it when I'm done with my report. So this is fine. So we have our data in Power BI already. So quickly, one of the few things I love to do, if you've been following my channel, just one more canvas space. So I'll come to canvas settings, change this to custom, and just make this 1080 and 1920. Okay, that's it. Then we need to come to enter data up here. Just click on enter data. Then we'll create, this should be our measure table. So this would hold all our measures table. It's just a simple table to hold all our measures, right? So now I need to create a calendar table. Of course, you can create a calendar table in Power Query. You can create in the Power BI here. So I'm just going to go copy the DAX measure I use in creating the calendar table. Also, on the link to the OneDrive, you will find a Word document where you find the DAX that is actually creating this calendar table. So let me just navigate to the report. I'll come to table view and I'll just select my calendar in this case. So this is actually the DAX measure that is creating the calendar. Control A, Control C. Like I said, this DAX measure is actually on the OneDrive already. So I'll come to table view here, right? I'll come to table view. I'll simply say I want to create a new table. Then I'll paste the code I copied. So I'm necessarily not changing anything, right? Even the mean date, that's because I named my data fact IT support just as I named my previous, that's the reports we're actually looking at to create this very one now. So it's the same naming convention. So if, for example, you named your table, let's say IT support, which simply means you come here and change the name. But since I'm not changing anything, everything is the same, everything works well for me. I think everything is perfectly fine. So I'll just commit this so I can have my calendar table created for me. So once that is done, I'll come to the first column, which is the date column, just change this to just date, not date time. I think that's one of the things I want to do. Next, I'll come to this short month, this month or short month. I'll say sort and sort using month number so I can have it in ascending or descending order. So that's basically it. Okay, so now that we've done the few things we need to do, let's begin creating the report. I'll come to my format, then Canva background, right? I'll bring in the image background. Like I said, you'll find it on the OneDrive also, the image background, you find it there, right? You also find the PowerPoint file. So just in case you want to change the color for your own image, you can actually go ahead, change the color for your own image. So I'll be using demo BG1. So I'll just reduce the transparency, change this from image, from normal, this image fit from normal to fit. So I have the background right here. So let's take a look at the report very quickly. So for the report, the first few things we want to look at is the ticket volume, right? This is looking at the number of tickets, right? Coming in, the number of tickets that wants to be resolved. Then, of course, we're now looking at the ticket if it's within SLA or it's as against outside the SLA, which is SLA target service level agreement, right? So we're looking at the ticket volume and all that. Okay, so here on our measure table, the first measure we want to simply create, because if you look at our table, this is our data table. So we simply want to do a count, a distinct count of this ticket ID to know the total number of tickets we're looking at, right? So I'll right click, new measure. This will just be total tickets. very quickly. Then this would be a distinct count of the total number of tickets, which is ticket ID, fact ticket ID. So this gives us the total number of tickets, right? Now let's come back to our report here. Now we have two very important dates in the report, right? We have two very important dates in the report. The date the ticket was created, right? And the date it was resolved. So you created a ticket for a complaint, right? Then it took a while before the ticket was resolved. Your complaint was actually attended to, or your complaint was resolved. So basically, what we want to do, we want to know the number of hours between from the time the ticket was created to the um, date, right? The ticket was resolved. We want to know that also. That's one of the things we want to know. So for that, for us to achieve that, we need to say we want to create a new column, and this would be resolve days or resolve hours, how long it took for the ticket to be resolved. So this would be resolve hours. So for the resolved hours, it's just going to be a date, dated diff function, taking our two dates, right? Which is the date we support the first date the ticket was created, which is the date the ticket was created, and resolve date, which is the resolution date. Then we want to look at this by hour. So we want to know the hour. So I'll simply just close the bracket, and so we have the resolve hours already, right? We have the resolve hours. So you can look at the resolve hours here. The resolve hours here. We have 120, 120. Let me just, yeah. So you can see you have 120 hours, 96, 96, 120, 48 hours, and so on. So let me quickly draw your attention to what we have here, right? Quickly, let me just draw your attention to what we have here so you clearly understand. So we have the priority for the different tickets that were created. The ticket priority is either high, low, or medium. Now, if a ticket is high priority ticket, it simply means that for that agent attending to the ticket, resolve this ticket, attend to this ticket within the next 48 hours, right? That's the target, 48 hours. We want you to resolve this ticket within 48 hours. If it's medium, we want you to resolve the ticket within, let's say, 72 hours or so. Then if it's high, if it's low, we want you to resolve the ticket within 92 hours or so. So you have 48 hours, right? You have 72 hours or 96 hours. So you need to resolve the ticket within those hours. If you're able to resolve it within those hours, that means you resolve the ticket within the service level agreement. But if you're unable to, that means you already breached the service level agreement. That's basically what we're looking at here. Okay. So what we're simply going to do now, we need to be able to verify, right, which of the ticket was within the SLA and which of them was outside the SLA. So we need to be able to verify that information. So for that, we need to create a calculated column or a custom column, right? If you come back to the report I have here on my table view, simply data, you see I have that column here, which is more like SLA compliance. Where is it? Okay. So we have the resolved hours. We already created these. Then we have the priority, which is the SLA, right? So this is a simple query, not a query now, measure, right? So I'll just copy this measure. Let's go back to the report so I explain what this measure is doing. So here we have the resolved date here already, right? So we want to create a new column to verify those that were resolved within the stipulated hour and those that were resolved outside that. So it's actually resolved hours I use. So I'll change this, add D in front of it, add D in front of it. So what this is basically looking at is, first, we want the ticket priority to be filtered to high. So I'll just make sure this is high. Then if it's greater than 48 hours, remember we said for high priority tickets, the target is 48 hours. So anything above 48 hours, you've breached the SLA, which is outside the SLA already. So for medium, right, we also said the target is 72 hours. So anything outside 72 hours, it's outside the SLA already. While for low, we said is 96 hours. So anything outside 96 hours, you've breached the SLA. But if it's not any of the above, that means you're within SLA. So that's our priority SLA. So we just click on commit. So we have a new column. So we now have a new column that tells us outside SLA or within SLA. So is it outside the SLA or within the SLA? That's basically what we're trying to do here. So now that we have the total tickets, the next thing we quickly need to do is calculate the number of tickets that are outside SLA and the number of tickets that are within SLA. And that is pretty easy. Just right click and say you want to create a new measure. So this would be within SLA, the number of tickets, right? So we just say calculate now and quickly say we want to calculate our total tickets, and we want to filter this by, right, factable priority XLA. Okay, that's the priority SLA, right, is equal to within SLA, right? So this is within SLA. I'll make a copy of this quickly. So this will give us within SLA the number of tickets. I'll right click again, say new measure, then I'll paste this. So this should be outside SLA, outside SLA. So this is outside SLA. So I'll simply need to come here again and change this to outside SLA. Okay. So I now have the total number of tickets, those that were within SLA and outside SLA. So if I bring in a card visual here, right? Just bring in a card visual and I say I want to see the total tickets. So this is total ticket, I format, call out value, display unit none. Total ticket, I just put a comma. So this is the total number of tickets that were created, right? Control C, Control V. Then I remove this. So how many were within SLA? 9,023. So how many were outside SLA? Let's check that. Outside SLA, we now have 2,900. So if you add both together, you actually get this 11,923. So next, let's just quickly calculate the percentage of ticket outside SLA and percentage of ticket within SLA. So we already have the number. So just to get this number, turn them into percentages, right? So I'll just right click here and just say new measure now. So we can start creating our card visual. So this would be within SLA percent, right? So this will simply be divide. What you want to divide is your within SLA tickets. That's the measure within SLA by total tickets, right? Comma 0. So this will give you the percentage within SLA. So this will give you the percentage within SLA. Next, I'll just make a copy of this to be outside SLA percent, new measure. So this will give you outside SLA percent. Outside SLA percent. So this is no longer within, rather it's outside SLA, outside SLA. Okay, so now we have the outside SLA percent and we see the within SLA percent. So let's create our card visual. So one more measure we need is just to right click and say a new measure and set our target, So in the end, they want to see the percentage target for within SLA should be above 75% or 75%. So we just see SLA target. It's actually 0.75. That's 75%. That's the SLA target. So let's quickly create the card visuals, right? Okay, I'll just bring it here. So for the first element we have in the card visual is the total ticket, right? The total ticket. So let's just confirm. Let me confirm. So we have the total ticket, right? Right. We have the within SLA, then the SLA target, of course, then the bar chart. So let's go back. So this is the total ticket. So let me format this colored value. I'll just make this 20. I'll put off the category label also. So this will serve as our total ticket. I'll come to general effects. I'll just turn off the background. So these are our total tickets. Then we have the within SLA, right? Within SLA. So So I'll select this total ticket, format painter, just drop within SLA here. Within SLA, drop a comma. So this should be here. Then we have the target, right? Control C, Control V. Then I'll make sure everything is well aligned, right? I'll make sure it's well aligned. So I'll change the shape, not the shape actually now. I'll make sure the sizes are the same. So this is SLA target, right? So I'll format this target to be percentage, which is 75%. And it should be 0 decimal places. Okay, so this is what we have on the KPI card. So general properties, I'll just go with 80, or I'll say 70, 100. Okay, 1700. So I'll select this, and I make sure everything is 70, 100. Okay, so now I can align them properly since they are all of same size. Okay, I think the text size, the colored value is actually small, so let's try 25. Should be fine. Okay, 25 is absolutely okay. So I'll select this, hold down my control, select this, just come to format, align, and distribute horizontally. So that's fine. So now that we have this, the next thing we want to look at is the percentage compliance, which is SLA, the percentage of SLA that was achieved within SLA, the percentage that was achieved. So for that, I'm going to be using this 100% stacked bar, right? 100% stacked bar. Now I'm simply going to bring in my first, I'm going to select my within SLA percent, make sure it's formatted to percent, right? So I'll bring in my within SLA percent. Next, I'll bring in my outside SLA percent. So I have something like this, right? This is what I have now. Look at it. This is what I have. So this is actually my within SLA percent and my outside SLA percent. Both will give me 100%. Now, whichever one you bring first, that's going to be the one that will appear first. But I want the within SLA percent to actually begin. So I'm saying this is the within SLA percent being achieved, then this is outside SLA percent. So I'll quickly just what do I want to do? Now format X as is, I'll put off the title, put off the value. Next legend, I'll put off the legend, I don't need it. General title, I'll put it off. So this is the only thing I need. Then next I'll come to effects also, I'll put off the background. So this is just what I want. I'll bring this here. Just reduce the size a bit. I'll place it here. I have to bring it down a bit. Okay. So we need to do a quick formatting to this, right? So for this, we need to come to format the bars, right? And the label. So if you put on the data label, you now see that you have data label for both the within SLA and outside SLA, right? But I only want for the within SLA. So I'll come to data label, I'll scroll, change this to outside SLA and turn off the label, right? So it's just for us to apply the field. But for that field, I need to grab the color code. So I'll just come to my PowerPoint, where I have the image background. I think this is the background. Okay, so I need to grab this color code, shape format, fill, more fill. I'll grab this color code. Okay, so I'll select the visual format, then the bars. I'll change this. I'm looking at within SLA only. Then I'll change the color more and paste the color code I had. Great. Now I'll change this back to outside SLA. Then I'll change the color to gray color, something like this. I think this is fine. Something like this. Yeah. Okay. So we have similar result compared to what I had on the other end. So the next thing I want to do is quickly just bring in a text box, insert a text box, right? This text box, I'm just going to see SLA performance. Okay, so this is just going to be SLA performance. I'm going to come to effects. I'll put off the background. So we just drop the title up here, SLA performance. So, okay, so this is SLA performance, right? So we also need to give these add titles to these things we have up here. So I'm doing this intentionally. So this is total tickets, total tickets. So I'll just make this 12. I'll make a copy of this, Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V. So this would be, what is going to be within SLA. Okay, I'll paste again. So this would be SLA targets. Okay, I'll quickly save this just in case. Save as browser, desktop. I'll just save this as demo, SLA. Okay, so now I can bring in my labels, right? So this will be total tickets. This will be within SLA. I'll just make sure it's well aligned with the other one. Then this should be SLA targets. Okay, so I'll paste one more and just say ticket volume. This should be tickets volume. Okay, so I'll just increase this to 14 maybe and just bring this up here. I notice it's a bit too close, so I'll just select everything and drag it down a bit, right? So I have something like this. So this is exactly what I have on the other side, right? So tickets volume, then you have the total ticket within SLA, SLA targets, right? Then SLA performance. Then I think the only thing we need is just the labels I have down here. The labels I have down here, right? So one of the labels I have the violations, which is simply the outside SLA. I call them violations, right? Outside SLA. So we just need to bring the violations here. But what I did was I created a new measure, just said new measure. And I simply said violations quickly. Then I used the variable to say um, outside SLA is equal to, that's the outside SLA actually, outside SLA. Then I simply said I want to return, right? What do I want to return? I simply want to then return the word violations. And I want to format the outside SLA value. So I want to format the outside SLA value. Notice the one I'm using is the one for the variable I created, this very one, outside SLA value. I simply just want it to be this, comma 0, and that is it. So with this, I'll have the word violations, then I'll have the value. So I think what I can do is just add a column here. So now I can simply just select this card visual, remove the outside and just put violations. So I have something like this. Exactly. So this is what I wanted. So next thing I'll do is just turn off the category label, come to the colored value, reduce this to 12 maybe, or 14. I think 12 is fine. I'm actually using 12. So I'll come to general effects. I'll just put off the background. Then I'll just drop this here. Okay, so this is the violations, right? Now I also have more like a label here to show it's below target, which is this is 75%, is actually above the target, right? Or we achieved XLA. So it's more like I now have a conditional statement. If it's 10% close to 75, you should say we are close. If it's below 75 and it's not 10% close, you should say we are below. Then of course we are above, or we are doing okay. So let's just go copy that measure. So basically what I'm saying now is, if you come to my report here, right? So I have below target, right? Below target. So the DAX measure for the below target, this is what you have here, the SLA status. So basically, I just created the status for the SLA to return a keyword. We are meeting the target, or we're close to the target, or we are below the target. So this is just basically it. So I'll copy it, SLA status. Let's go back to our report quickly. So now I want to create a new measure and say this is a new measure. So this is the SLA status. Look at what I'm using here. First, the SLA value, which is the within SLA percent. You already know that. So hold this value for me within SLA. Now you know the target, which is the target SLA, right? Now the threshold, this is just 10% close, 10%, which is 0.1, right? So now what I'm saying is, if the SLA value, you know the SLA value, if it's greater than or equal to the target, which means if it's greater than 75, which is the target, say we are meeting the SLA, which is true, we are meeting the SLA. But if the SLA value, right, is greater than or equal to the target minus the threshold, which is 10%, if it's 10%, you know the target is actually 75. But if it's 10% close to 75, just say we're close to target. So if you have something like 74%, 73, it will tell you close to target. Of course, then if it's below, just tell us we are below the threshold. So that's basically it. So now we're just going to bring in a statement that does that. I'm going to format. What I want to do, I want to send this visual back. So I'm format. I'll say send back. I'll send backward. So I can easily select this um, card visual. I'll just make a copy of this card visual. I'll replace this with the SLA status. So you can now see the SLA status, a keyword, meeting target or below target, or close to target. So with this, we're almost done with the KPI card, right? This looks really great. Now, I also added some sort of color coding, right? So if you come back to the reports we have here, right, you see that we have the below target is actually red, right? The violations, it now tells you the number of violations. But if we're meeting target here, right, we're meeting target, right? Violations is actually zero. We are below target here, then violations, right? You can see close to target, yellow, violations. So we need to bring in that color code also. So I'll quickly copy that. We're using the same principle, right? The same principle we actually used before. That's what we're simply using, right? So that's what I call the SLA color. We're actually using the same principle. We're not changing the, okay, I don't need this. Please close filter. Okay, so we're using the same exact measure we use in bringing out the keywords, right? So I don't even need to come here, but I'm already here. But let's just go back, right? Let me show you what I'm trying to say. This same SLA status, this same measure is what we're basically using. So what I'm just doing is just copying this measure. I'm also going to use the same measure for the color code, and I paste it back. But this is now SLA status color. Let me say SLA status color, right? So now, if we're meeting target, what is the color code we want to use? Do we want to use green? If we're close to target, what is the color code we want to use? So basically what I did was, let me save, please. I just brought in a shape. I just said insert shape here. So this is my shape style. I'll select this color code now. More. I'll select this color code. Then I'll go back to the SLA color. Instead of meeting target, I'll replace it with the color code I just copied, right? Next, I'll come back here to this shape style. If we're close to target, what do we want to use close to target? Let's say we want to use this gold color to say we are close to target. So I'll copy this code color code. So go back to the SLA status color, replace this with close target, right? Then if we are below or below target, so let's say we're using this red, right? Or we're using this red. So I'll copy this color code more. Then I'll just paste this here. Okay, so now we have the color we want to actually display for a meeting close to or below. So for this meeting target, this card visual, I'll simply come to format now, call add value. I'll click on the conditional formatting here. Then I'll say this should be based on feed value. You know what the feed value is already. Come to your measure table and say the feed value should be SLA status color and click on OK. So this will automatically show meeting targets. Now violations, will do the same thing for violations, right? Call add value, conditional formatting. This should be based on feed value. Then all data, right? Measure table. Then SLA status color, click on OK. So with this, we're done creating our KPI card. We're done creating the KPI card. We're done creating the KPI card. So all we need to do, right, which I'm just going to walk you through quickly, I'll just select everything I have here. I'll say Control C, Control V. I'll just bring it here. Make sure it's well positioned, right? Okay, great. So this should now be looking at high priority tickets. So I'll just say high priority tickets, right? High priority tickets, just expand. Okay, so this is looking at high priority tickets. So for me to make sure that this is speaking to high priority tickets, right? What I need to do is select the first card visual, which is the total ticket. I'll now come to my facts, IT support, and select ticket priority and filter this to high, right? And lock it in. Within SLA, I'll also bring the priority again to the filter it to high and lock it in. For the target, I don't need to do that. The target remains the same. Then for the visual, right, which is the visual itself, I also have to bring in the priority, filter it to high and lock it in. Then for these elements we have down here, this card visual, I also need to bring in priority to the filter high and lock it in. Then finally the meeting target, I also have to bring in priority here, select high and lock it in. So now we're speaking only to the high priority tickets. These card visuals, everything we have in this box is speaking to high priority ticket only. This is speaking to the total ticket, then this is speaking to high priority ticket. Just as I did for high priority ticket, you can actually do same for medium priority ticket and low priority ticket. You just have to do same here. All you need to do now is just make a copy of this, right? Control C, Control V, bring it here, right? Just bring it here, position, make sure it's well aligned with what we had before. So now this is no longer high, this is medium priority tickets, right? So you select this ticket. Now you don't need to bring in priority anymore, it's already here. All you need to do is come back here, uncheck high, take it to medium, it's locked. Uncheck high, take it to medium. Then for the visual, uncheck high, take it to medium. While for the meeting target, remember to do for these card visuals also. Uncheck high, take it to medium. Then for this, uncheck high, take it to medium. That's basically it, right? That's basically it. So you do the same thing for what is it called? Low ticket priority. So next, let's go to creating this what is it called? This trend we have here. So for that, we're just going to bring in a line chart, a line visual very quickly. Then I'm going to expand this. So the data set is actually from January 2024 to May 2025. So I don't want a situation where we have to select a particular year, right? We just want to look at it across the whole calendar. So if you go to our calendar table, right, this calendar table quickly, you find out that we have a column called the month and the year, the month, year, right? The month and the year. So for the month here, I have to sort it also. I have the month year sort here. So I'll just say sort column. I want to use the month year sort. So I can sort it from January to May 2025. So for this, we're going to bring in the month year now in our calendar. We're going to bring in the month year on the x-axis. Then we need to bring in the within SLA, right? Within SLA, which is the within SLA. Okay. So there's a reason this is actually like this. You can tell, guess, we need to come to our model view, right? And we need to make a connection between our calendar and our fact IT support using the date. So this date needs to come to this date here. And of course, many to one relationship, click on save. So that connection needs to be there. I forgot, it skipped me. So make sure the country is also connected using country. So that's our simple model. Let's go back now. You can see we now have the results we desire, right? So now we have the SLA for January to May. So we want to cross-check this against the target, right? So we need to bring in the target also, which is the SLA target. Bring it on here. So we have the target as a straight line, right? You see the target is constantly 75. So you see our SLA value floating to tell us if we're within the target or outside the target. Let's quickly format this to look exactly like what I have on the other side. So I'll select, I'll just come to format. X-axis, I'll put up the title, right? You can increase this to 10, make sure it's black also. Then for Y-axis, I'll put up the title, put up the values also, right? Now, next, let's gradually proceed. Let's come to lines. For the lines, I'll select the within SLA. Then I'll change this to smooth, right? So I have a smooth line. For the color also, I'll change it to the color we're using already, which is this color. Then the line width, can make it 2. That's absolutely fine. Next, let's go back and change it to the line, the series to SLA target. The SLA target, I want the line to be a gray line, something like this. Then, of course, I want the width to be 1, a very simple light line to show the targets. We can actually increase the targets a bit. Let's say this gray. Okay, that's fine. That's basically what I want. Next, I'll come to, I don't want shaded area actually. So if you put on the shaded area, you have something like this, right? But it's up to you. You can increase the transparency or reduce it a bit. And also the shaded area, you can actually select, you can say SLA targets shouldn't have the shaded area. It should just be for the SLA, that's within compliance itself. That's within SLA itself, not compliance. Okay, so I just make this 95%, something like this. If you want something like this, it's fine. Then I can now come to markers and put on markers. So you can see the markers, right? Next, we can put on the label. So for the label, once I put on the label, I'll expand and change the series to SLA target and put off the label because our SLA targets will remain the same, right? It will remain the same, right? 75 is only, we only want to see our SLA itself, our target will always remain the same. Then for our within SLA, we can come to values, just increase it, let's say 10. Let's see. Okay, that's fine. Why am I having a query on the data label value? Okay, yeah, so I need to increase it a bit, but this is fine. So you can see our values already against our SLA, right? So you can see our values against our SLA. So within our SLA, I think I'll need to just make this a single, no decimal place. I'll close it up. Just format this. You can actually do it here also on the value, right? So that is sorted. How do we make sure? So we have something like this. Everything should be well aligned. So just reduce the size. Once you reduce the size, you can have it from January to, that's January 2024. I want the month to fall in. right? I don't want this January 2025 and the other ones are like that. So what I'll go to the x-axis and make this 12. Yeah, so it falls in like this. So you can see we have a clean line chart. We have a clean line chart, but I'll come to the format now, and I'll put off the title. There's a reason I'm putting off the title, you'll see shortly. Okay, so there are two things, right? If you are within the SLA, we want the value to be the color we used before, which is here, this color, remember. But if you are outside the SLA, if you are below the SLA, we want let's say a red color. So remember, for the SLA target status color, we're using 3 different colors, right? We're using 3 different colors. We can actually apply that here, and I'm sure it's going to work. We can actually. So if we come to format now and we say to the data label, change the series to within SLA, come to the values and click on the conditional formatting, change this to feed value and say we want this to work with measure table, SLA status color, and click on OK. So you're going to find the different colors here. So that is absolutely fine. Just apply that and that is settled. So one thing I decided to do, right, rather than have a regular label up here that says SLA trend, right, or SLA percent trend and all that, I wanted a brief explanation just to tell my user that all through this month, right, SLA was achieved for so number of all through this period from January 2024 to May 2025, SLA was achieved for this period, while SLA wasn't achieved for this month, while SLA wasn't achieved for this particular month. Just a brief summary, right? So let me show you what I'm trying to say. If you come back here, you actually find it here, up here, to say out of the total of 17 months, January 2024 to May, SLA was achieved for 1 month. Yeah, just 1 month. There's a filter actually applied to this, that's why I'm actually saying just 1 month, which is 1 month falling short in 16 months, which is January 24, February. You can actually just see it's a brief explanation. That's because I'm filtered to CX. If I come to HRO, it will be a different story entirely. So you can see HRO is a different story entirely. So that's what I want us to achieve. And to achieve that, first thing, we need to do the total number of months we're looking at, right? We need a measure that looks at the total number of months we're looking at. So one thing I quickly want to do, all these measures we've written, I want to just group them and say SLA measure before we go to the label, because the measure we're basically looking at now is a label. So I'll come, just close everything down. On model view, when you expand the tables and you come to your measure table, these are all the measures, right? So I'll just select one and say this should be SLA. So that automatically falls in, right? Look at it here. It's create a folder and you definitely find the ticket. Now the total ticket is on this SLA folder that was created. So I'll just drag and drop this in. I'll scroll down and select this, hold down my control, select this. Nope. I'll select everything. Select this. I'll drag everything and drop it in here. All right, so if I close this, you find out that everything is on my SLA already. Everything is here. So let's go back to report view. You find I have a new folder and everything is here, SLA. So now let's create another measure. This measure will be just to do the count of the year month in the calendar table. So total months. This will be a distinct count of calendar, which is month year, right? So this is the count of the calendar, the month year, right? So it's telling me basically if I put the card visual, we have 17 months, which is from January to May, we have 17 months. Now, how many months were SLA achieved and what are the months SLA were not achieved? That's basically what we want to look at next. So if you come to my measure, so I have a measure here. So now we want to look at, these are the months. This measure is looking at the months SLA wasn't achieved, right? Which is month SLA not achieved. Then we have another one that looks at the month SLA was achieved, right? Then before we have the label. So we need to create these two. So month SLA was achieved. I'll just copy this. I'll explain this shortly. It's very simple. New measure. I'll just paste this now. So month SLA was achieved, right? So first we have the target, right? We have the target. So within this measure, we're creating a table. That table is simply looking at the month year and is looking at the SLA percent. So think about it. I have a table showing the month here, then the SLA percent, why this now, then count the rows and filter by where the month SLA, which is this month SLA, is greater than or equal to the target. It return the number of rows where this was achieved. So that's month's SLA was achieved, right? Next, we'll now look at the month's SLA was not achieved, which is we're using the same principle in the recent. We're using the same principle, right? So we're not only returning the month, number of months, we're also returning the months. We're returning the months, not just the number, we're also returning the months. So it will mention the months SLA were not achieved. So right click, new measure, and I'll simply just paste this here. So this is also looking at that same table. We're creating the table again. That's this month table. Then we're filtering to, of course, is below. Then we're returning the months, the name of those months, right? Now, finally, we have three measures already. The total month SLA was just, number of month SLA was achieved, number of month SLA was not achieved. So now we're not creating a single text. We're trying to create a label, right? Which is more like a label. This is the label, right? I'm bringing out the label now. You can actually make this shorter, right? It depends on what you want to. You can make this shorter. This is just a long sentence for me, but I kind of liked it, so I'll paste this. So this is now your label. This is the label, right? Now, this is no longer total months. I don't know what I said. Okay, I actually said total months. So I'll change, what I'll do, I'll just change my measure name here. I'll change this measure name here to total months. So it's just works perfectly fine. So now if you come to the SLA achievement summary, okay, so what I need to do is there's a space. Why there's a space here. So if you come to the SLA achievement summary, what I'm having is the total months. Remember, we wrote a measure for this already where we counted distinct count of the year month column or month year column. Then we already wrote a measure, which is the number of months SLA was achieved. Now, this is the failed month, number of months SLA was not achieved. You can actually get this also. Now, funny enough, the month SLA was not achieved, right? The list. This is the list of the months SLA was not achieved. So of course, we're looking at the minimum month and the maximum month, right? Then this is the entire sentence. Each of these measures, they are now they are embedded within the sentence I'm writing to give me that long sentence, right? So I'll just click on OK. So now let's just look at the label. So I'll bring a card visual and just put the SLA achievement label. This is the label, right? This is the label. Okay, so I'm going to come to format, colored value. I'm just reduce this to 12. Then also turn off the category label. Come to general effects and turn off the background also. Then I just reduce the size a bit and put it up here. Just put it up here. So this is the explanation to why I didn't put on the title, right? This is why I didn't put on the title. Now, it depends. If by the time you add a filter to the report, it depends on probably the department we're looking at. Or so let me quickly just bring in a filter, a slicer. This is a slicer, and I bring in the department, right? Fact, department. Now, by the time you filter by a particular department, everything changes. I can select CX now. You see the title changes, become longer. That's why I have that space there. Now you can see HRO, right? You can see IT supports. You can see a brief summary, right? Sales and all that. You can know number of months SLA was achieved and number of months SLA was not achieved and all that. So that's basically it, right? So we're done with this. Next, let's just quickly look at the countries and also look at their SLA. So I'm going to bring in a matrix visual, right? So I'm just going to bring in a matrix visual here, or a table should also do the same, a matrix or a table. Now on the country dimension, I'm just going to bring in the country. I'm going to also select the URL. So once you select the URL, please drag it to the rows. So we can actually use a table for this, not a matrix. I'll just select a table. So we have something like this. So first you have the country, the URL. The URL is just always going to appear like this. So what you need to do is select the URL up here. Look at it here. Then come here, data category, change this and say it's image URL. So you can actually have the country flag there. So it's image URL. Give it time. So you now see the country flag here. Great. So what we'll do is just come to format quickly, come to image size, reduce the size of the image. Now I can say mine should be 15, right? 15 is too small, but we'll eventually increase it. Let me just save this to be sure. So I can say mine should be 15. But what do we really have in the country table? So we just have the country, then we have the total tickets, of course, a bar chart, then we have the SLA, then within SLA percent. So what I'm quickly going to do is I'm just going to come to my measure here, right? And my total ticket measure, I'm just going to create another one. Just call it total tickets 2. Control C. I'll right click on SLA, new measure. I'll paste this and call it total tickets 2. It's the same measure, nothing is changing. It's because I want to actually use that for the conditional formatting. So while we're here, I'll select the total ticket, right? So this is the total ticket. I'll also then select the total tickets 2, right? Then we have to say within SLA and within SLA percent. That's everything I have on the table. So let's quickly format this. Next, we'll come to format. We'll come to grid options. We increase the size a bit, right? That's fine. It's fine. We'll do some adjustments shortly. Then the padding, we can actually increase the padding now. Let's say we increase the padding to 8, right? 8. Next, let's come to the image size and increase this to 20 or 25. Okay, so I think 20, 25 is fine. Quickly, what we're going to do is come to cell element, change this to ticket 2 and put on data bars. So you have something like this. This is what I have on the other end. Also come to style and preset, change this from default to none. So you don't have any style, right? Then go back to the grid, the padding, you can increase the padding back to 8 now. Okay. Then probably increase the size to 14. So you have something like this. Don't worry, we'll make some adjustment very quickly now. First, this is total ticket, right? Now for the total ticket to please click on the conditional formatting here and say just show bars only. We don't need the values. We just need the bars only. We don't need the values. Also, I'm simply going to come to field value where we have total ticket 2. I'm just going to delete everything I have there and just leave a dot there, right? Okay. So this, instead of within SLA, I'll just rename this to SLA, right? Then I'll also rename this to SLA percent instead of within SLA percent. So makes it easy. I'll increase the bars a little, right? Then we'll have the total ticket. I believe this is everything I have on the table. So I'm just going to bring this down a bit because we need to put the title up there. So what I'll do is come to grid again, options, and increase the padding again to like 10. Okay, so this is it. Now for the bars, we want the bars to also have the same color, right? So let's go grab the color code for that bar. I'll select one of my visuals here, bars. This is within SLA. Let's grab this color code, Control C, and select this. Come to cell element now, which is this dots. It's no longer tickets 2. I change it to dots. So I'll change these bars and just put the bars there. Okay. Okay, so I have the bars this color. Now for the SLA percent, we also want to use the same color code, right? This color. So we can change this cell element now to SLA percent and say we want it to affect the font color. Then click on the conditional formatting here. This should not be based on gradient. It should be based on rules, not rules, sorry, feed value. Now come to DAX measure, then SLA, then SLA status color, and just click on OK. So you see the color formatted. So that's basically it. So same thing we did for what is it called, for the months. We did the same thing for countries here, right? The countries that achieved SLA and those that didn't achieve SLA. So you can actually skip that, or you still can do that, just to tell us the countries that achieved SLA and the ones that didn't achieve SLA. Okay, so let's quickly do that. So we need to create measures for that also. So when you come to the label, same principle actually, right? So this is the country SLA achieved, right? This is just a measure that talks about the country SLA that was achieved. So I'll just copy this, then go back here, new measure table, paste. I'll paste this. So now this is the countries. Of course, you know this is counting the total countries, then the SLA target. Then we have the table cross-checking against the SLA, then the text summary I'm returning here. So that settles it. I'm just going to select this, Control C, Control V, and replace it with country SLA achieved. So you now have a summary for the country SLA achieved. So basically what this is looking at now is out of a total of 10 countries, which is 10, 7 achieved SLA target, while 3 fell below the desired threshold. So you can actually see the desired threshold. 3 fell, 1, 2, 3. Netherlands, Portugal, and Spain fell below the desired threshold, right? So next, we quickly look at SLA against the different ticket type, right? The different ticket type. Let's just quickly look at that before we go to the last visual for the first page of the report. So I'll just then bring in a clustered bar chart down here, right? Clustered bar chart. Then for the clustered bar chart, what we want to do is come to the fact IT support and say we want to pick the ticket type, the type of the tickets, which is the type on the y-axis. Then of course we need two measures, which is the within SLA percent and the target, SLA target. So those are the two measures we need. So let's quickly clean this up now. So to clean this up, first thing we need to do is come to the y-axis, put up the title, increase this to 12, right? Also make it black if possible. Next, we come to the x-axis. We put off the values, put off the title, right? Now, let's come to the bars, right? For the bars, for all, okay, when all, I'll put on the border. I'll come to the layout. I'll simply say overlap. So overlap now, once I shift, this is the space between the series. You can see now I have the within SLA behind, then I have the target in front. So what I want to do is swap both. So I'll say reverse order. No, not reverse order now. Yeah, reverse order is going to reverse the other way around. But if I say flip over, so I now have the target behind, then I have the SLA. This is what I want to achieve. So just scroll up. So quickly, to make it look clean a bit, the spaces between categories should be this. Now, great. So now I come to fill within SLA, right? We want to fill this color as usual, but outside SLA target, which is the target now, we don't want to fill any color, make it transparent. So you have a line just like this. Okay. Next, let's come to the data label. I'll put it on for sure. Now I'll come to within SLA or SLA target and put off the label. So for the within SLA, go back to within SLA. I can come and say position should be outside end, so everything should be outside. Then the values also we can increase a bit to say 12. and also make, we can actually apply that same conditional formatting now, right? Feed value and say all data measure SLA status color, click on OK. So you have the color. So okay, so this is it. Now this is SLA, right? By ticket type. So we can change the title to SLA Compliance by tickets type. Okay, so that gives us a perfect title, right? Now for this slicer we have here is our department slicer. So we can actually look at it across a particular department, just like that. So quickly, let's format this slicer before we create our large visual for the first page of the report. Let's just see this slicer. We want the background to be this. Okay, I increase the transparency a bit to make it look okay. Yeah, this is entirely up to you though. Then visual border, then rounded corners a bit. I say 5. Then I can come to visuals, values, change the text to white like this. Background, I don't think I want to touch this. So you have something like this, right? It's simple, quite simple. Okay, then you can put the labels and all that. So this page is actually what's SLA overview. Okay, then the next page is actually agent performance. So agent performance. Okay, so far so good. We are almost done with the report. We are almost done with the report. The last visual we need to create is the calendar visual. So one thing I'll quickly do, right, is to bring in a slicer, and this is going to be the month slicer. So I'll simply go select the year month, which is month year, right? Drop it here. Now, of course, I want to format this to be a drop down, and I know when I select a particular month, it's going to affect this visual I have here, this particular one. So what I'll do is just select and come to format, edit interaction, and I will select now this visual and lock this up. You see, I shifted this down so I can actually see this visual itself. So when I select this slicer, I can lock it not to interact with this line chart, line visual, and click on edit interaction again. Then I can gently just take it back to where it belongs. I'll format this quickly. I'll just general effects, put off the background. I'll come to values, background, I'll change this to white. So I have something like this. Then slicer header, I'll just change that to white also. So now I have a particular month selected. I can come to, yeah, I can clear all slicer, not to have any month selected also. So that's basically it. Finally, the last visual for this first page of the report is actually the calendar visual. Calendar visual. So let's quickly create our calendar visual. So everything we need to create this calendar visual, we already have it in our calendar table. So if you come to table view and of course our calendar table, you find that everything we need to create the calendar visual, we have it on our calendar table already, right? So we're going to be using a matrix visual. So I'll select a matrix visual. So this is a matrix. I'll just expand this for now so you just see it clearly. Please watch carefully. So the first thing I'm going to do on the rows, I'm going to bring in the quarter, just this quarter. I'll just bring in the quarter to the rows, right? Next, on the columns, I'll come to the columns now. I'll bring in the month group. We have it already, month group, right? Next, I'll bring in the day of week, day of week. Once I've done this, I'll simply come up here, see, expand all down one level in the hierarchy. I'll expand down. So I have something like this. So finally, on this row now, I'm now going to bring in the week of month. I'll drop it here. So once I've done that, I can come here and expand. So I have something like this. I can come and expand. Instead of doing this manually, right, you can actually just right click and say expand. You can actually just right click and say expand. I think you can do something like that. Yeah, expand entire level. So I have this entire level. You can see it's looking like a calendar already, but then on the values, we can bring in the day and just drop it on the values. So you have a calendar already created for you. Now, one of the reasons you're seeing 1, 4, 5, 2, 2, 1, that's because we have 2 years, right? We actually have 2 years, 2024 and 2025. So let's say, for example, we filter this to a particular month now, say January 2024, you will find out that the calendar is actually um, supposed to be in order. Let's see, January 2024. Yeah, so what do we have here? Let me just bring this here. Yes, so our calendar is actually in order, right? It's actually in order. So the only thing we need to do is clean it up. We need to clean this up. So what I'll do, right, is just zoom in so you see it clearly. Okay, so this is our calendar, right? We need to clean it up. By cleaning it up, we need to turn off some totals. These totals, we really don't need them and all that. Then this expansion we have here. So what I'll do quickly, first thing I'll do is come to format, right? Come to row headers. Then look at the icon here, plus or minus. I'll just turn it off. So you have something like this, right? Now, in terms of column subtotal, just put it off. So you see our column subtotal is out of there. Row subtotal, let's put it off and see. So row subtotal is also out of there. Now, one of the challenges we're having is this is actually from Friday, Monday, Saturday. It's supposed to be from, I think it's Sunday to Saturday. So we need to sort this also. So for us to get this sorting right, first thing we need to do is go back to our calendar table now and look for the day. Look for the day, right? So this is the day in number, right? But then we are actually displaying the day of week. So we select this day of week now and say we want to sort it by day. Okay, we can sort this. There can be more than one day. Okay, yeah, we're not using this. We're using what column are we actually using? Let me confirm that. Let me confirm that. Let me confirm that. I think we're using day of week. So day of week number, that's what we're supposed to use. So we have the day of week, then the day of week number. Yeah, day of week and day of week number, please. Day of week. So we sort this using day of week number. So day of week number. So we sort this using day of week number. Yeah, so it's sorted day of week number. So sort the day of week using the day of week number. Then come back to the visual, right? Now we can sort this. It's already sorted actually. So I wanted to just sort it, right? I wanted to sort using um, week of month or whatever, but it's sorted already. You can see Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it's automatically sorted for me. So let's resize this. So you can now see we have 01, 02, 3, 4, 5, 6 for January 2024. So we still need to clean this up a bit, right? So we need to clean this up a bit. Quickly, what I'll do, I'll come to layout. I'll say this should be none, right? Then instead of compact, I'll just say outline. Nope, I'm not gonna say outline actually. I'll say tabular. So tabular should be fine. None, then tabular should be fine. So you have something like this. Is this what we want to achieve? Let's say blank. Nope, we don't need blank. Okay, so we're getting close. We still need to do some formatting. So basically, for the labels, this quarter, I'll just delete everything and say this should be Q. Then week, I'll delete everything here and say this should be W. Month group, I'll delete everything here also and say this should be M. For day of week, I'll also delete everything and say this should just be D, right? Then what else? First day, I think I can leave that. So this is what I have for now. The only thing I'm trying to get rid of is this. Yeah, that's the little trick to get rid of that. So now I have my calendar visual in order, right? Showing all. So if I come to February, I'll get February, right? See 29, 29, right? 29. It's actually a leap year, so that's fine. So now let's just increase this. So I'll just go back to the regular size now. So let's increase this, right? Come to format, come to values, not values now, come to grid, options, font size, increase this to 14, right? Let's make this 14. It's 14 really cool. In padding, let's just make the padding 2. That's fine. Let's make this 16 a bit. Yeah, 16 is actually fine. So I'll just increase this a bit, 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 increase this a bit manually, by myself. Okay, so in order for this to look exactly like what I have on the other side, right? To look exactly like what I have on the other side, I'll select this also, right? And simply just come to format once more. And grid, I can actually put on the grid line horizontal, put on the vertical grid lines also. Then I can come to border and just, no, I don't need the border. So this is fine. So we're looking at the daily SLA, right? So with this, we want to see the days SLA was achieved and the days SLA was not achieved. So for that, we need to create a measure. Actually, we need to create a measure, right? Okay, to create that measure, right? I'll simply just say, right click, we want to create a new measure, but I need us to get a color code, which is the color code we typically use. So I'll just select this visual, bars within SLA, and just grab this color code because we're going to need it. So this is what we want to simply do. Right click and create a new measure and simply say, if statement, we just say SLA, we just say SLA color, right? This is SLA color, and we'll simply say if within, we can actually use within SLA percent. Within SLA percent now, that's what we're using, is greater than or equal to SLA target. If it's greater than or equal to SLA target, we want this color code, right? Else, we want black. So let me try FFF. I'll come back eventually to change this if it's not what I want. But so this is the SLA color, right? So when I select this calendar visual, right, this calendar visual now, I'll come to format, cell elements. The first day, I'll put on the background color. Now, this should be based on feed value. Then what is the measure we just created, which is SLA color, and click on OK. So you have the days SLA was actually achieved, you have them spotted. So for the days SLA wasn't achieved, let's just give it a ash color or a black color. So to get that, I think, what do? I can actually just select any of these visual, right? Come to bars, and let's say we're going to be using this color, right? So I grab the color code. That's 333 actually. So please let me change this back to the actual color. So now it's just for me to go back to that measure and replace this with the, oh, I didn't actually have, I didn't add this very, to see if it's going to work. Okay, FFF is actually not a good color code. So let's copy and paste and see what happens. Okay, so you now have this, what is it called? The dark spots for those days SLA was not achieved. So we need to work on the text color, right? We need to work on the text color. So I come to values now. We can change this to white and also change this to white. All right. So what else do we need to do here? Column headers. We can make them black also. Then the row headers, we can actually make them black also. So we are good. The only thing I was unable to do, right? The only thing I was unable to do was to have this display the month. So basically what I did, I just had the card visual, right? And I selected calendar, sorry, select calendar, and I just said month here. So for the particular month that was selected, of course, that's what will be on this calendar, right? This card visual. So I just formatted it, general effects, put off the background. No, the background should be on, please. Don't put off the background, put on the background. Then just come to visual, turn off the category, reduce this to, let's say 12. Then I just dropped it here, covering the one. So for any month you have selected, this is what we're going to have here. Yeah, so this is what you're going to have here. If you select another month, right, you're also going to have the month change here. So one of the challenges I also had was I have to adjust this, right, for some months that were selected for some weird reasons. Even though when I set the auto fit to none, I still got the same result. So what's the point? Then we also need to format edit interaction for this also. This is the only shortcoming I had. I didn't know how to fix this, but I think I'll research on it again. Okay, so this is fine. I'll select this and just come to format and say specific column apply to, I'll say apply to values only, just centralize. Yeah. So if you go back to January, right, you find everything January 2024. So that's basically one of the things I did there. So I think we need to reduce the size, right? I just figured out we need to add the title to that. So I'll come to grid options, reduce it to 14. So we can actually bring it down a bit. Don't forget my title, please. I'll bring this down here. Make sure it's covering the one actually. Okay, so we can have a title here. So this is basically it for page one, right? The only thing you need to then bring is just come to insert, buttons, what is it called? Navigator, page navigator. So this is your page navigator, right? Like mine, I'll just come to grid. This should be vertical and just bring this up here. The next thing I did was to make sure the shape was rounded corners for at least maybe 5. Then drop this here. So a quick formatting tip was just to come to style and set on default, right? On default, the field should just be a gray color. Now this is actually the text, which is the background color, right? Gray color. Then on selected, the field should actually be this color. That's just the only thing I did for my page navigator. So you can add your slicer. One thing also is to select this visual, this calendar visual, and make sure it doesn't interact with any other thing here. So I'll come to format, edit interaction. I'll lock it up here, lock it up here, and also I'll bring in my line chart somewhere here. So go back and select the visual again, and also make sure it doesn't interact. So edit interaction. Okay, that's great. So finally, I wanted a situation, for example, if you select a particular day here, of course, it doesn't interact with, but it interacts with the KPI cards up here. Then you start having this blank, blank, blank. So I wanted to avoid that. So what I simply just did was come to all the measures I have here. Within SLA percent, I just added +0. Then within SLA, I added +0, +0. Please let me just save this quickly. Then total tickets, right? Total tickets, I added +0 also. Then outside SLA, I added +0. So within SLA percent, within SLA, what's value is this? Total tickets. It's supposed to take that effect now. So which other one? SLA target, I don't need that. Total tickets, yeah, total tickets I added +0. So I don't get blank. I don't really like the idea of returning just blank, right? So that settles it. So for those measures, so I can select the day, right? So remember, one final thing, right? So you find out that where I have my filters down here, right? My filters down here. Remember, I have my filters down here. So while I have my filters down here, I have a symbol that clears all the selections. So to just achieve that, once you're done creating your report and nothing is selected, all you need to do is just come to view and say bookmarks and just say you want to add a bookmark. So this bookmark, I'll simply just say clear all slicers or clear or reset reports or reset page 1, right? So I can actually tie it to a button. It's up to you. Tie it to a button. I can go ahead and say insert clear all slicers button, right? But this clear all slicers button, it won't just clear all the slicers, right? I'll change the action. First, the style, whatever default uh, field. Probably just change the field to this. Then text to white. So this clear all slicers button won't just clear all the slicers, but I'll turn on the action and say it should be tied to a bookmark and it should be tied to reset page 1. So even if I don't select a slicer, if I select anything anywhere around my chart and I'm kind of lost or confused, I can just click on clear all slicers or reset reports and it resets everything. So with this, we're actually done with page 1 of the report. You can give it your head. I remember to create this for the low priority tickets, and I'm sure everything I have on the other side, you have it here already. On the next video, we're going to be creating the agent performance page for the report. So see you then. Bye.